We are out at Stubbs Cycles down in the Pearland area of Houston, Texas. They're doing the Suzuki demo rides. Suzuki just came out with a new bike, the V-Strom 800. I want to check it out. It's a direct competitor to the CF Moto Ibex 800, which I rode and had a video on. That seemed like an awesome bike. Let's see what Suzuki has done to compete with that. So you got spoked wheels, ABS, and Nissan brakes. Good setup so far. Parallel twin motor, hybrid foot pegs with rubber inserts and metal cleats. There's even a radiator guard. Good fully adjustable suspension on the front. Got adjusters on the bottom and top. And in the rear suspension, it's actually a remote reservoir. That way you can change the settings on the fly. Let's say you want to go hit the trails in the middle of an off-road ride. Turn down that suspension, make it a bit more off-road friendly. I like seeing big heel guards too. That's good for off-roading, gives you a good place to grab. There's also a quick shifter. I'm not quite sure yet if it's just up or down, so we'll figure out which direction it runs while we're riding. 2023 Suzuki V-Strom 800 DE. This is an all-new bike for Suzuki. Not based off of the 650, not based off of the 1050. This is an all-new V-Strom. We've got fly-by-wire throttle, cable pull clutch. Feels to be okay on the brake pull. Gotta love Houston. Light turns green, nobody moves. So this is an adventure bike. From the factory, it comes with tires that are about, I'd say an 80-20 tire, meaning that it's meant 80% for street, 20% off-road. You can do improved access roads, fire roads. You could theoretically take it on some tighter trails. I don't know that I would do that on these tires. They're just okay. But the clutch feels super smooth. I like the transmission so far. Let's see how it goes as we actually start to ride. Maybe I can go through the modes. It's got traction control, looks like. Ooh. 3 levels of traction control. I don't know what SDMS means. I'd have to look that one up, but I see A, B, and C modes. It is not suspension based, I know that, because the suspension is not electronically controlled. My guess is it's a fuel mapping system. The bars feel pretty wide, which may or may not be an issue in the woods, but for cruising around, it's a good comfort level. It's a little bit broader than my shoulders, which is to be expected. There is a gear indicator, which is just as big as the speedometer, which I do really like. Seems like all the manufacturers are moving to the TFT screens, which is good. It's easy to read, but I still like an analog tachometer with the actual needle that you can bounce around with. Visibility in the mirrors is okay. It's a bit buzzy. You can still see things, but you know, I'd say this feels very comparable to the Tenere, the Yamaha Tenere, which I did a video on about a year ago, which I liked. It didn't feel like a touring bike. It felt like it was made to go more off-road, and I feel like this one's kind of the same way. Like, it's okay on road, but I'm sure this would be awesome to go through the woods. Very easy to ride. It doesn't feel super heavy. I talked to one of the sales guys at Stubbs, and he informed me that it is a push and pull auto blip quick shifter. I still like to use the clutch. I think it's just habit for me. I don't know where the road actually is versus the shoulder. You gotta love Houston roads, man. It has a parallel twin. It's a very smooth power delivery. It's not super twitchy. It doesn't feel like I need to feather the throttle at all. It's pretty good. I would say more of a competitor to this than the Tenere is actually the CF Moto Ibex 800, which is based on the KTM 790 chassis. pound for pound, dollar for dollar, I know people are gonna say Suzuki because Suzuki is a more well-known brand and it's a Japanese brand as opposed to Chinese, but I think I like the trick bits on the CF Moto a bit more. I think you're getting more for your dollar with the CF Moto. Sorry, Suzuki, to say that, but granted, this is also only 5 minutes into this ride, so I could be mistaken, but my first impression is I think I'd go to the CF Moto first. This is a new bike, so parts aren't going to be readily available. Like, let's say you buy a GSX-R 600 and you can get parts everywhere. I think it's the same for the CF Moto. People say that you can't find parts, but it's a new bike. You got to give it some time. And no, I'm not sponsored by CF Moto. I'm not sponsored by Suzuki. I do these types of videos to help you guys who can't make it to the demo rides really experience them for the first time. And I've been on motorcycles for over 20 years. I've been around a bunch of different types and sizes, and I know a thing or two about motorcycles, I'd like to think. So hopefully my insight is useful to you. Let's do the standing test, because this is an off-road bike. Let's see what happens when I stand. Oh, I like that, actually. I can grab the seat in the tank really, really well. And the bars are a good height for standing. Could definitely cruise access roads while standing. I like that. So that's a +1 on ergonomics. Let's test the quick shifter out real quick, too. Oh, man. Okay, I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of quick shifters. That one was super smooth. Oh, yeah. I think that's one of the best quick shifters I've used, actually. There's not even, like, body roll. That's super clean. So the red line on this is 9,500 RPM. I'm cruising right now at 4,000, 5th gear, doing 53 miles per hour. Let's see, is there a 6th gear? Yeah, there is a 6th gear. Okay, that's good. I like having 6 speeds in my bikes these days. The controls are where you'd expect them to be. They make sense. They're user-friendly. I did notice it's kind of strange that there isn't an ignition button on the bottom of the right control. It's actually part of the shut-off switch. You've got off, run, and ignition. So it's all one button there. It's funny, there's a guy behind me who is also filming a video. You can tell because he's using his hands to talk. You wouldn't do that talking to yourself usually, you would think. So I assume he's filming a video. There's a dude up there in front of us, not on the demo ride. He's on a CBR. Looks to be 600. I can't tell from the angle, but he's doing a massive wheelie. If you do like me doing these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps encourage me to do more. Gets me out there, and as I said, these are for you guys to learn more about the bikes. When I'm comparing it to the Tenere, I'm mainly looking at it from an off-road perspective. I feel like the Tenere is much better at being off-road than what I would see the V-Strom being. I think the V-Strom would be an introductory type of bike to off-roading, similar to my Versys 650. So I don't know that the V-Strom is one that will pull me away from having my bike. So I'm gonna ride the V-Strom 1050 in the next video. Stay tuned for that one.